How many hits do we normally get on a recording?
25 to 50. We have 25 subscribers.
I'm finished.
Okay, I'll have the next one hopefully Sunday. It's about 2/3 through Bala.
Nice, okay.
Did Chaim Friedman get Zadie? We're trying to get you about insurance.
I left a message with him that he should tell him that there's no chesaron of betochen in not having insurance. If that's what his problem.
No, the problem is he wanted to talk to Zadie about the Chuma to figure out if it's also talking about term or not.
We're streaming, so it's private.
No, it's not private at all.
My ribs.
He wanted to know if there's a chiluk between term life insurance and what's it called, policy and a full life whatever.
It's just cheaper, that's all.
Say, but it's more of a bet.
Huh?
So he wanted to know if it's called more of a bet or it's also called an
No,
investment.
no. The idea is I'm willing to pay this for 50 years. I don't know when this money is going to be, but it's going to be 50 years cheaper here with more money, even though I lose it every year,
Yeah.
than if I took term life and have it.
But the term expires, meaning if the person stays alive for the 20 years, so then that's it. The money's out the window and you go right there.
Yeah, but here also you can do that. And supposedly, that's why you got to talk to this guy who claims he knows everything, whatever his name.
Okay.
He goes around claiming that we should buy our life insurance every year, $200 for a year for $500,000 or $1 million, and after 20 years you get your money back, something like that. Yeah, a whole bunch of crazy things. So I said, who would not do it for a deal like that?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, I don't know. I'm saying he wanted to know his age, so.
Four people are in the waiting room.
We had a shout out to the Yeshiva, and the Yeshiva the way the Sephorno learns at the end of the Parsha, where that they held up the curtains, and then they put the walls underneath it. So we're learning the Sigurd Bainer, and it says if you do the top and then the sides first, and the top first and the sides, that's mutter. It's only because that's not the Derech Binyan. We see in the Mishkan, they did build it that way. That was a
Good order.
Mechanic
Yeah, but the mice is, the malachis and the Michigan go after how they made the ingredients, not how they set it up. Yeah. In other words, whatever binyan din they make, they touch up it somewhere in the making of the Mishkan. You had to be buying or something. In Kleilim you made, what do you call it? That was the bind. That would be some bind, not putting up the Mishkan.
I asked the shot. Okay. Yeah, it was Mechanic shot.
Okay. Now it's not what you do to set up the Mishkan, it's how to make the Mishkan that the malachas come from. You know, so therefore you can have things and they'll be mutter.
Spinning it off the goat's back.
What?
Spinning the thread off the goat's back. That's not the way we hold this, or is.
Spin the thread off to the right.
I'm saying that's even in the Malachas Mishkan alone.
Yeah. Oh, this I forget. It was. Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
They're all frozen.
No,
No. Malki.
Yeah. My mother's joining, is Avi. It's all the regulars.
All normal.
Okay. I'm gonna...
Ready? I'm out. They're very low. This is the Camille, and they're very low. I don't know if they have to talk to me, but they're very low.
That might be
How am I now? I made my sound higher.
Oh, now you're good.
Okay.
Now you're good. Okay. Ready? Okay. It says Vayakhel, beginning of Vayakhel is the mitzvah that Beis Hamikdash is not Deiches Shabbos. We had this mitzvah before in Parshas Kisisa, that it said talk that the last mitzvah before the Egel is Shabbos, and the Yisra you're not allowed to build a Mishkan on Shabbos. Also for that, for the same reason, telling you this. So why did it repeat it? And there it's a long parsha. Long, in the sense of how many psukim is it? About six psukim. No, a little bit more, 12, 18, 6 psukim. It's 6 psukim, and here it's 3 psukim. What's the difference? Before, they were really giving them a reason why it happened. And that was because the Ben Shem wants to let the Goyim know why God is Mekadosh us. And that's because we are his Avdei Hashem. Shabbos shows we're his Avdei Hashem. That's the point. When I won't get to Shabbos, we'll talk about how it shows Shabbos Hashem, but it shows Shabbos Hashem. Avdei Hashem. Okay, so that's a very good thing if Goyim would see us. But in the Midbar, the Goyim couldn't see us because they had the what do you call it, the Anani HaKavod, which hid us from the world. So the Goyim didn't even see us. If they didn't see us, so then why can't we build a Mishkan on Shabbos? So until you did something with logic, which you made an Egel, Moshe's not here, we have to have something, therefore we made this and whatever it is. Until you did that, I trusted you that you would understand that not all things fit into every logic that you understand. And therefore, the fact is that you wouldn't understand it, wouldn't mean anything. But the fact is you'll still accept it as a thing, and what's the point of even telling you these things? Because it shows you the Shivas, you'll learn for other things how to do it, to give you a reason for the mitzvah. There'll be different reasons why the Rebbeinu Shem did it. Abel, now that you messed up, you built an Egel, the only way I can talk to you is by telling you it's not allowed to be done, period. I can't give you any svaras why it shouldn't be done, because then you'll find a svara this way and that way. You can't be, it can't be done. That's it. So that's the Vayakhel. That's why he puts in this mitzvah here. First, because we're talking about the Mishkan, or caused the Mishkan, and everything else, so this is the first thing that's in here. Now the Torah going into in Parshas Tumen Tetzaveh, basically it was the Rebbeinu Shem telling Moshe Rabbeinu what he should do. And now he is giving it over to the people and making it being done. So you have, even though it's mentioned, I don't think I mentioned it last time, how do you become a Nediv Leiv? Did I? Yeah. No? Okay. So, in that sense, it's a big kashi. And a Nediv Leiv was the guys who came Babaikya. Those guys were considered Nediv Leiv. What was the total donation of someone that came Babaikya? So if we take a look in the beginning of Pikudei, it tells you how much money they collected, and which was the total collection. So there were 30 kikrei zahav, which let's say 6,000. A kikar is really 3,000, but a kikar kodesh is 6,000. So that's 6,000 kikar dinlei zahav. Each din zahav is 25 dinlei kesef. So times 6,000 times 25. I don't know what it is. Then divide it by 600,000. Okay? the machzah shekel, everybody gave the machzah shekel, and that, according to most Rishonim, I think only Ibn Ezra says not like that, is that was all the silver that was in the Mishkan. There was no other silver. There was no donations of silver. Just this Chatzi Masa Shekel went for the Adonim. But the Ibn Ezra says there was other silver. What they do with the other silver? It doesn't say anything about other silver. And here it only talks about the Adonim. So it can't be that there was other silver. This was it. It says he counts it out. Half a machzis, a shekel for 600,000, whatever it is, it came out to X amount of kikrim, and therefore kikel aden, and you figure out exactly how much you had left over and so on. So it's the basic mathematics, it's no big deal. It should come out about, you were doing it, so what'd you come out now? It should be about 25, 30 of silver per person. Now, that's talking about only the men, and only the men between 20 and 60. You take a person only gave about 30, 25, whatever. That includes really the other materials also. So each person maybe give another 5 shekalim. I mean, I assume there was some people give 1,000 shekalim. Some people only give 10 shekalim. I mean, but the average donation was not a big deal. What was the Nesiim? The Nesiim gave, where is it? Nesiim Hevi, where is that? This is still the thing. The beginning of Vayakhel. I'm sorry, I'm going to Pikudei. Okay, Vayakhel, it says, V'anesiim heviu, is avnei hashoyam, is avnei hamiluyin, v'hever v'achoshin, all the jewels, v'es habeisem, all the psomim, v'es shemen, and all the oil, the olive oil that they need every single day. Okay. All it is, the Nesiim brought. That with the jewels, if you ever saw the size of the jewels and the thing over there and what they are, you're talking about millions and millions of dollars. I don't know how it touched up in shkolim, but I assume it must have been millions and millions of shkolim. And yet, the Bein Shem took out the Yud from their name because they were not Nediv Lev. Doesn't make any sense. Where's you're going by amount, for sure it doesn't make any sense. So the Taich of a Nediv Lev is somebody that's involved. What did they do to the people? They came by Baikya. It wasn't too many Baikrim, but they came by Baikya. In other words, they came, as soon as they announced they want stuff, they brought stuff. I guess they made some kind of calculation, how much is demanded of each person, and they brought that much stuff, that much money and stuff. The next day, they came back and asked, is there anything else they need? Needed more, they gave more. Anything, I don't know how many days it was, or 2, 3, 4 days, whatever it was, that's about it. They brought whatever they needed to be brought that day. They didn't bring it the day before, they bring it that day. What it serves when you do construction that way, I don't need any safe houses, I don't need any banks, I don't need anything else. But the way we would do business now, we have an executive director for yeshiva, right? But if you be babaykia, what does the yeshiva need today? Right? And everybody's willing to pay it. You don't need executive directors. The only reason you need an executive director because they don't pay by babaykia. So I have to figure out how to do today for tomorrow and the next day, and then how to pay it back, and that's basically what's taking the difficulties. That's why we need it. If they would do it that way, and I suppose also you should know that the reason Japan was able to beat Detroit in the building of cars and be able to give a better deal, it was simply this problem. In General Motors owns 10 subsidiaries. One makes motors, one makes brakes, one makes, transmissions, one makes, whatever it is that they make. Radiators. Okay. Now, certain parts are made faster than other parts. So therefore, Company A would make 600, let's say, set of things. But the total capacity of all their plants that put the cars together is 300 cars a day. I'm giving you just the numbers. So they're over. What do I do with the extra 300 a day that this company keeps making? I have to get a storage house. I have to get guards. I have to have what do you call the things? I have to have a building. I have to have employees. I have to have whatever it is to bring it out again and stuff like that. Well, if I brought you just what you need, in other words, we're only building 300 cars, don't bring me more than 300, what do you call it? And that's what they did. And that's all they made. And therefore you didn't have any guards, you had no buildings, you had no nothing, but you were able to you had all the things that you needed. That's the basic svara of why we do like I said, the Jim Babayke. But in reality, Bisman Hazeh, a executive director would love someone like the Nasiim who would give them a blank check, say, you collect from anybody you can, and if when it's left over at the end, you just fill in whatever amount you left over. But we see from here, if you want to be part of the mitzvah, you can't rely on that, because it's possible that Klal Yisrael will fill up the whole bedet. You won't have anything for you to be part of. And that's what happened to the Nesiim. They were not part of the Mishkan, except for the Chotzi shekel that they put into the Adonim. They have no donation to the Mishkan. They have to the Avodah, and they have to the Pikudei Kahuna. But they do not have anything in the actual building of the Mishkan. Okay. Then talks about, Moshe Rabbeinu talks about Betzalel. Did we talk about this last week, Betzalel? Talk about Betzalel last week? Yeah, okay. I have to talk about him. Okay. And they start to build the Mishkan, and again, it calls the Mishkan as is the first thing they made in the making the building. The at least the parts of the building is the Mishkan. Is the part that has to be this Mishkan is the ceiling of the ceiling of the Mishkan. It's not the roof. It's the ceiling. So it's the inside part. Esirius, and it looked like that. The whole building is called after this Mishkan. I mean, why don't we call the Mishkan, the building, the Adonim? You know, because there's that's the structure of the walls. The Chayrat should be Adonim. I mean, not the Adonim, the Choshim, or the Adonim, the foundation of this thing there. Why are they going after the Mishkan, the ceiling? We'll see it clearer later in Parshas Pikudei. I'm saying that we're both together in the Sedler, so therefore we can put it together. You get to Pikudei, Shishi in Pikudei. It says, I'll read the pasuk, but if you have permission, look it up. ויהי בחודש ראשון השני שבכלל החודש הוקם המשכן. Which chodesh Nisan of the second year, they put up the building, the Mishkan. Then the Torah tells, now that's what happened. Now how do they do this? Vayakhel Moshe's HaMishkan, Moshe set up the Mishkan, and l'chayr means the building, right? Vayitens Adonah, Vayosem Skosha, Vayitens Brichov. This is how we did it. Vayakhel Mesamudav, right? Vayifresh the oil hala Mishkan. And then he spread the oil on the Mishkan. But he didn't say he put the Mishkan down. So the Sipuna, there's only one Sipuna. And he says, you see from here, that what it means is, that they put up the Mishkan means the Esiriyas. The first thing he put up was the Esiriyas. Now he says, how do you put up Esiriyas without having anything to support it? So it says, either it must be a nest, or they had big ladders, and people stood on the ladders, and don't forget this must have been heavy, and the thing over here, and there each one is holding a shtickle there to hold on to it until they can get the Adonim ready, and then the koshim and stuff like that. Now we can, that was heavy work, right? Why isn't it an awkward way to build a building? So I think this is a very important lesson, chinuch, that he teaches us, the Torah teaches us. The reason, and we can think about it right now, why is the reason that the different yeshivas produce different, curriculums? Is it some of the people making the curriculum? It could be, okay, but I assume that a lot of big people that landed up and finally in New York started out in the sticks. So they didn't, so when they had ideas in curriculum, they were pretty good ideas. So let's see what happened. So one in New York, we talking about this by us in the yeshiva. We wanted a ninth grade, its Talmud is learning Old Testament, the Folsham already and everything else. So we would like to take a Talmud that learned Old Testament already. Now we can't get that. They'll take a Talmud taking most Testament, but less than that you're not going to take. So therefore, but there are 8th grades that teach Old Testament. So there are guys we can take from. On the other hand, we know that there are schools that the 8th grade maybe teaches Hascholas Tesis, and maybe even Hascholas Gemara, and maybe not even that. Now, why is that? Is it a question that their kids are dumb out there? That doesn't make sense. Kids are the same all over. So then what is it that's making? Basically, this is it, the Mishkan. If we have a Mishkan first, then what we're saying is we have to reach the Mishkan. That's our goal. To reach that goal, we have to figure out how to set a curriculum to reach that goal. So for instance, we want the kids to know all tastes in the 8th grade. So then we figure out in the 1st grade in Chumash, they got to learn at least one pasuk a day. The 2nd year, they got to learn a parsha a day. I don't know how anything. The 3rd year, they start Mishnayos and learn Rashi and Chumash. Okay, the 4th year, you maybe broaden out already more Mefarshim, and the 5th year, you start Gemara. 6th year, you start, learning Rashi, maybe a taste of Tesis. 7th year, I would say most of Tesis, or at least a good amount of Tesis. In the 8th year, you have all Tesis. That's generally the way you would do it. Right? What happens if I say the other way? Without a goal. Let's say how far we can get. So what do you attempt the 1st year? Oh, let's learn a little Chumash with them. That went over pretty good. Okay, let's learn a little bit more. And by the time you reach the 8th grade, you maybe ready to start Mishnayos. Because you never went and had a goal. You just wanted to see what goes. And what goes is whatever you want it to go. The kids will have a fight. They want to run around today, so they run around today. Oh, you see, we shouldn't have gone there yet. We should have started stuff with the Chumash and stuff. They're not ready for Tanakh, not ready for Gemara. That's always you can say that, but you have to teach it to them. So anyway, that's one little short. Okay. So that is why the Mishkan is, first of all, why it's called the Mishkan, because that is the purpose of all of Klal Yisrael, to get the goal. And then what's the next thing you do? You do the Adonim. The Adonim are the foundations of the Koshim. They support the Koshim. And in that, every person has a machzeh shekel. So Shiva Zatzal said it's also a tremendous lesson in education, that if you want kids to be able to grow up, they have to have the same background, the same support system, the same education as anybody else. Then it's shaykh to put in the kroshim, and each person will go as far as his kishrenis can take him. And in a way, you see all the kroshim reach the Mishkan. So it means that each person could develop to reach the Mishkan, even though he doesn't. I'm smarter than you, and I'm greater than you, and I'm more than you. But we reach the Mishkan. Ruchnis, I'm equal to you, because I did it all I can with my keches. That's the part that's important. The end of Vayakhel, near the end, it says Vayas Hakia Nechoshish, right? It's one pasuk, the whole thing. One parsha, it's one pasuk. Vayas Hakia Nechoshish. This is after Shvi. V'eskane Nechoshish b'maris hatzayvais asher tzovu Pesach Moed. From the mirrors of the woman that hung around the Oil Moed. I assume the women that hang around the Omer were pretty religious ladies. And they go over their mirrors. Extremely strange Rashi here. Masa Tzeves, B'nais Yisrael hay b'yodim malas sheroim behem kishem ishkashtes. They had these mirrors that they used when they got dressed up, made themselves pretty. And even that they didn't keep for themselves, they gave it for the Mishkan. The Mishkan was more important than all other relationships that they have. Moshe didn't like him. It was disgusting to him. In other words, why? They're made for the Yetzer Hara, for human relations, and that's the tachlis of it. So therefore, it doesn't pass to go into a mishkan. How do you make a mishkan from this stuff? And what part of mishkan we're doing? We're doing the part that a kohen can't do any avodah unless he washes his feet in the kiyah. So it prepares you for doing avodah. So how can you use that from that kind of stuff? Omalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so God told him, Kibel, take him, Ki elu chaviv malayim min hakol. These are the most important things to me. Sha'al yideihem hemidu hanoshim tzivos rabis mitzrayim. Through their ways, the women rebuilt the many different people of Klal Yisrael. And they built up the tzivos of Klal Yisrael. And now he's explaining how they did it. When the husbands were tired from Avedis Perech, so they used to go and bring them food and water. They fed them. They took out their mirrors. And each one showed herself and her husband in the mirror, in the reflection. And she talked them with words, until they were able to bring him into taiva. There's one word I'm missing somewhere. I'm sorry, and they convinced them with words. What words? I didn't read the words. That was to say, I'm prettier than you are. Or you're a slob in English. Okay? And because he said those things, now, if you tell me this story, I would tell you guys are crazy. This causes fights. When you call me a slob and you say you're pretty and I'm able to take care of myself and you don't even know how to react and so on like that, there'll be a lot of fights. So how do you say that's what set up? That's what made them, how they convinced their husbands to live with them. What it means to say is this. The women, everybody had Avodas Perach, the men and the women. We learned that in the Agoda and what everything is. The women had also Avodas Perach. Yet, they went and they got the water and they made the fish, the little fishes that were in the water, they made a nest, and they would cook it. They would have like whatever it is there, fish soup with fish, and they would give it to the husbands. Mitzrayim didn't give them anything, so they had some food. This is after the women had Avodas Perach. They did what they had to do. They came to the men and they fed them. And the men are sitting there exhausted, have no interest in making an anam. Not talking about making the taiva itself. We're talking about the taiva is necessary to create an am. Without that, the Moshe made taiva as a part of the body in order that there should always be a desire to make a new nation, a new people. And therefore, but if you're tzibrochen, if you gave up on life, you have no interest, you know that you sit there. You sit there and say oive, oive, oive all day long. And the B'nai says, get up and do something. And that's what the wife said to the husbands. Get up and do something. Now, that will be again an insult. So they first start with themselves. I can do it. Why? If I can do it, you can do it. There's no reason you can't do it. So look at you and look at me. I'm able to do it and you can't. So obviously you can. So if you can, so why aren't you doing it? So therefore they're machazik them. All of a sudden the husband said, okay, you teased me enough, I'm going to show you I can do it too. And he went up and he got dressed up and he got what they did. Now let's get down to business. And that's how they got him to build Klal Yisrael. And that's why it's more important than anything else, because these built Klal Yisrael. They gave the chizuk to the husbands to be able to build Klal Yisrael. They didn't just make a yitzhahara to the husbands. They gave him the will to build Klal Yisrael. In life, we probably have the same thing by every marriage generally, that the wife is the one that gives the chizuk to the husband. You find that in many ways. But I think that's the uptouch of Eza Kenegdei. I don't know if we spoke about it or not. It's going to be in Parshas, and Parshas we'd never probably get to ever speak about, because Parshas is always after Simchas Torah, and there may be a Friday before Parshas. Yeah, okay. But anyway, but assuming we didn't speak about it in a long time, so it's Eza Kenegdei. What's an Eza Kenegdei? It says Eza helps you, Kenegdei it goes against you. Rashi says Eza, if you're Zocha, you got an Eza. If you're not Zocha, you got a Kenegdei. Okay, that's Rashi, why you call the woman's called an Eza Kenegdei. You take a look at the Pasuk, it doesn't say that. It says that Adam Rishon was looking for an Eza Kenegdei. Vayem Hashem lekim lehotoy v'yos Adam levadoi esalei Eza Kenegdei. Then it says, when he's calling all the names,